The honourable member for Western Arctic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And standing up to speak on this bill, Mr. Speaker, is once again I come up against a problem that we have here in Parliament, in that I find it difficult to understand the motivation of the government moving forward with legislation. It's parroted answers that they give to questions. It's the very carefully controlled speeches don't provide us with much of their motivation. So in that case, we end up, in many cases, trying to find the motivation of the government in this endeavor. Speaker, we have good legislation that can be applied to human smugglers. We know how to deal with that. What is it that the government is trying to accomplish with this bill? C4, this bill that, I have a list here of 80 organizations that deal with immigrants in Canada, and they're all opposed to this bill. I haven't seen the government come up with a list of organizations that are supporting them in their efforts. Why not? Millions of Canadians are supporting them, they say. Millions of Canadians that don't understand their motivation either. And the people that do attempt to understand the motivation tend to understand that it's not a good idea, this bill, and that it shouldn't be supported. Why is that? Why is that? Well, Canada, actually, we've got a great reputation for immigration, and that we bring in lots of people, but we have a point system. We have a point system that very clearly sets certain standards for people to come into this country. We have decided that we want the best the world has to offer in terms of the people that come to this country. Lately, we haven't received so many refugees. Refugees don't actually come under the point system in the same sense that regular immigration approaches immigrants. So what we have is a system that has in the past allowed quite a number of refugees into Canada. Canada has been a haven for refugees from around the world. This is good. I think, but what's going to happen now with this type of legislation that has been put forward here by the Conservatives? When this is understood by the world population, this new legislation that governs how refugees are treated in Canada, what's that going to do to the perceptions of an individual in a war-torn country? Well, it has to make a choice about where he should apply for refugee status. What will that do?
Sends a message.
It sends a message, Mr. Speaker, to that refugee that you better watch it if you come to Canada. If there's anything wrong with what you did in getting here, if there's anything that we can interpret as illegal, you will be under severe distress.
No recourse.
No recourse. You will be in trouble. Mr. Speaker, I think back, actually, I am a son of a refugee. My mother was brought to Canada by my grandmother from Russia after the Russian Revolution. All my family in Russia that my grandmother had was wiped out. She escaped. After her death, I found a birth certificate. We think it's forged. She used a forged birth certificate to come to Canada because she had no alternative. She had to get through what was a very difficult time in this world. So I guess if this had happened today, and my mother was a child of that refugee coming into Canada with papers that were forged, under illegal circumstances, they would have been put into detention. What did happen with them under the old system is that they settled in Western Canada and became great members of our society. Pillars of communities. Good people. Grandson in Parliament. Able to speak up for that type of person. Able to stand here and talk about that kind of person. So, what are we doing here? We're going to limit refugees into our country. We're going to limit them by their understanding of our laws passed here with Bill C-4. This is going to change the way refugees view Canada in a serious way, and we will turn our backs on many people in the years to come. We will continue to bring in the immigrants that we want, the ones that meet our classification, the ones that are the cream of the crop, the ones that we really think will do well for our economy and our society. Great. That's beautiful. But for those that are escaping from war-torn countries, those that have to do whatever they have to do to get out and to get into another country, they're going to be in some duress. And if they're poor, and if they have to rely on others to help them and assist them in doing this, they have to get on a boat with 50 other people, they're putting themselves in distress by Canadian law. Isn't that a pity? It's shocking that Canada is going to turn in this direction under this administration, under this government. 80 groups say, no, don't do this. They say that. Where is the support of Canadian society, learned Canadian society, for what the Conservatives are going to do here? It doesn't exist, because Canadians, by and large, are compassionate and understanding. And the learned ones are that way too. So what we have is a situation where the learned are not on side, where the Conservatives say Canadians are on side, with no evidence of this at all, none at all, just simply made up. That's what they feel. And operating by emotion alone, they're making decisions about the future of this country and how we deal with this country. Wrong. That is a wrong way to govern. And we've seen this 2 or 3 times already since Parliament's been reassembled with the new majority. We don't have the ability that we did in the last Parliament to stand up and stop some of this stuff. We're going to have to rely on public opinion to change. We're going to, Conservatives say we're going to lose this one. No, we won't. The Conservatives will lose one 4 years from now, because the stuff that they're doing now will come to roost in 4 years. And that'll all add up. And Canadians will understand what's going on here with this type of government, this type of action. Mr. Speaker, I don't have much more to say about this. My colleagues have laid out the conditions of this bill in a good fashion. Conservatives should think hard about what they're doing to this country, to the nature of this country, the country that my grandmother and mother found refuge in, and which will not be as available for others. Thank you.